Welcome back to Afternoon Express, and we are still celebrating heritage as we are slowly creeping up towards the 24th. Now, Tumi, we've already done your favorite heritage dish.
We have?
Now, there is nothing like dipping itombolo or ujeke into a beautiful stew. And that's now where my favorite recipe comes in. Today, we're making heritage comfort food at its best. And this is my favorite soul food, a lamb stew served with a oven roasted butternut. I mean, it's hearty, it is delicious, and it is everything I love. Meat, veggies, boom. Now, Tumi, I'm gonna give you the responsibility.
And I accept.
Of taking us through this recipe.
I accept this challenge because I know my job here on this platform is to bring joy not only to South Africa but to these beautiful women that I'm cooking with in the kitchen today. And so what better way to do that than to take your recipe and try and make it as great, as best as you do, my darling.
Yeah, well, good luck. What do we need though?
So I'm on the meat station today. I'm going to be making that lamb stew that you're talking about. And Jenny, you're going to be making our pumpkin or butternut. I mean, Palesa, growing up, we used to sing a song, you know those songs, Mukopuo kiwamang, kiwanda. So we used to use mugopu, which is pumpkin, but now, you know, as times have developed, we're now using butternut, because I feel like whenever there's a savory, there has to be a sweet, there has to be a salty, there has to be a... So that's where the butternut comes in. So I'm going to start with our meat, adding a bit of oil into our pot here, and as normally people, what they do is they'd want to brown the meat beforehand, but I feel like because it's a heritage meal, it's one of those where I'm just going to go with it as is and just add everything into the pot to just make sure I build the levels of flavor.
Yeah. And on your station, Jenny, what are you up to?
Well, I'm going to really literally just take these butternuts, quarter them, or you can halve them. I'm a greedy girl, but I'll go quarters so the whole family can get to eat. Take out these seeds, don't waste them. You know, if you want to, you could just roast them on the side. Really, really delicious. And we're going to put a bit of heat in it and some thyme. It's almost like a Cajun thing. Are you going to like this? You better like it.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. At the end of the day, you know, I was just like, I love myself a... You know the cream spinach that you made earlier, along with butternut. It is a classic for me.
Yes.
I think that every South African loves it as a side as well.
I agree with you, Palesa. I agree. And I think the one other thing that's going to take this dish a little bit of a notch up is the fact that we're going to be using our Clover Classic mayo in the dish, Palesa. I'm going to be adding it into our stew because I don't know if you know this, but sometimes whenever you're adding mayo into a dish, it adds that little bit of tanginess that you need in the dish. It sort of balances it out.
Moisture as well.
Exactly. And the perfect thing about the Clover Classic is that it's got 3 levels of tanginess, from that mild to the strong, all the way to the very strong one. And I know, Palesa, you like your stuff tangy, you like flavor. If it's not tangy, you like it spicy, you want to make sure you feel that taste. So today we're going to be keeping it level and just keeping the medium level today. So to continue with our stew, before I go on and talk too much, I'm going in with my garlic. And then I'm going in with the rest of my ingredients, just using some beef stock and some curry powder, and then adding the meat and everything else. Pali, just a note though, you're cutting up the carrots, né?
Yeah.
May I please ask you to cut them up the same size as the potatoes, because we want to make sure that they... It's okay, we can start again. Because we want to make sure that these cook at the same time. If not, then the only trick is add the potatoes first and then the carrots. It's okay.
Okay, let me have a look at that and see, just so that I know exactly. They're little baby potatoes.
Yeah.
I can do that. Challenge accepted, Tumi, but nothing goes to waste. So I'll just be chomping on this, what I've already done on my side. So what has gone into your pestle and mortar, Jenny? And
what I've done is I've got some lovely chili flakes and I've got some coriander seed, which I absolutely love, and some fresh thyme. And I'm just going to pop this oil onto here because we don't want it to be too sort of saturated with oil. We want it just to have a cling. And then I'm going to just crumble that all over the topping. You're going to love it.
Beautiful. I can also imagine just also, as you're talking about crumbling some feta when it's all said and done. On top of that, that's amazing.
Definitely.
And you know what would work beautifully with this as well is just maybe a little bit of sugar just over the top, because it will just give that slight caramelization. I say take the recipe and own it. You're taking this recipe and owning it. So our listeners, I mean our viewers can take the recipe and just own it and do your own thing. Can you smell this garlic?
I can smell it from here. And I don't know if you can smell the tanginess of my mayo all the way from here. And the reason I'm adding it at the very beginning with our meat is because, you know, obviously mayonnaise is always made with some oil in there. So it's also going to release some of its own oils into the dish, making sure that that it also saturates our meat and gives it that beautiful tangy flavor, but lets it cook beautifully and tender.
Well, look at me, girls. This is so ready for the oven.
That looks beautiful.
That actually looks like a masterpiece. I almost don't want to touch it.
Well, you're going to touch it later.
No, listen, I'm going to devour it later. Let's not get that twisted. Now, Dumia, on my side, I think I'm almost done with my veggies. At what stage, then, would your veggies go in, especially because you put such emphasis on it being the same size so that everything cooks through at the same time?
All right, if you're going with chunkier veggies, it is always best to try, if you like very chunky, you can put them in at the end with the meat, depending on how big and what kind of meat you're cooking. These ones, I also do suggest add it towards the end, just so you still get that texture. You never want your veggies to be overcooked.
No.
So I always just suggest adding it at the end. So even the peas would go at the end, but we just want to show you exactly what would go into our stew here. So the peas would also go towards the end once everything is cooked. Well, in fact, once the stew is cooked, that's when you'd add your peas. Cover it with some water because we've added some beef stock in there. I've added a stock cube into the stew. Let it cook down. After this, you cover it. Let it cook down, Palesa. Don't keep opening it. Don't let the steam release. We don't want it to release. And then you're going to have a beautiful stew like the one I've got over here that I'm going to dish up beautifully with some of this butternut that we've made. Let me just plate.
Stunning, delectable, and absolutely scrumptious. I'm very much looking forward to diving into this. And I'm so glad that I trusted my homegirl, Utumi, just to talk me through it. Because, yes, I do love a good stew, but I don't want to mess it up. So if you want to make sure that you also get all the tips and tricks, please do head over to afternoonexpress.co.za.
There is a classic mayonnaise that brings out the traditional French in 3 levels of tanginess. The mild classic, the medium classic, the strong classic. Tangy the way you love it.
Made with love by Clover.